Hello and welcome to the show. We are back with 3 more vehicles trying to survive for as long as possible around the Wreckoning. We start with an ETK S-Series. Now, the modern ETKs do not have a great track record around any of the destruction circuits. Their wheels are noticeable weak points. The 800 series actually had a ruptured fuel tank and ran out of fuel, quite surprisingly with that one. None of them made it further than the opening jump on the second lap, and that was when the fuel all fell out of the 800 series, essentially. So the S-Series, I mean, it hasn't got too far to go if it wants to become the furthest of the ETKs. Of course, the primary concern is damage to the wheels. Now, to help this car, well, it is a relatively high-spec one, a twin-turbo straight-six in this, plenty of power. It is also all-wheel drive, so should we have a wheel buckled, should we have a wheel bent off or even lost, there is going to be, well, potential at least for the car to keep on working. As we head up towards this first jump, we've got to make sure we get enough speed. Oh, it's bouncing around horribly there. That's a big impact on the front right-hand corner. Surprisingly, it's okay. Well, that's good news. That is actually very good news for the S-Series to have sustained that hit. Across the next jump we go. Still not too much in the way of problem. Could probably done without landing. I mean, it's not that we're going massively fast, but landing a jump sideways is never particularly good for any parts of the car. I've just realised I've left the traction control on. Let's get rid of that, because otherwise that has big issues trying to deal with broken cars on the dirt. Now, we have managed to damage the radiator, unfortunately. Relatively innocuous bump that took that one out. None of the big landings, no, it was just a small bump, probably weakened by the big landings, but there we go. Right, now let's fire up the car towards our next jump. We've got to make sure that we're going fast enough to clear it, but not so fast that, well, we do that, or it's a little bit too much speed on that one, a little bit nose down. Well, with the radiator gone, if we're landing dead on the nose, it's not too bad, as if we twist slightly and land all of the weight on a single wheel. That's when you get into a little bit of problems. Across the pit we go again. It's the bouncing. Oh, okay, we lost the front drive shaft. It's a bouncing on the approach to the jumps that were causing issues there. We are a rear-wheel drive car now. I can live with that. The wheel axles themselves are surviving okay. I mean, yeah, it's a little, oh god, boinging around there. It's a little bit, well, I say it's a little bit buckled steering, very buckled steering, but it is still working. We are still able to, oh, careful now, are still able to make these corners without too much in the way of issues. With the radiator gone, of course, we will overheat, although overheating does, oh, I can't get my car away from the potholes. Okay, we're fine. We're just about okay across all of that lot. We survived. Lap number 2. We have, oh god, we have made it, but then the second I'd stopped fully counter-steering was the second things went wrong, and then we're going to go for a tumble, and, well, we've landed it, I guess. Got to get across this mountain of a curb. Now, if the cars do get stuck on the curb, I'm allowed to reset them, because the curb is unnaturally high at that particular point. It's sort of lower in others. It's a little bit weird curving around there. So beached on the curb is not a cause to be counted out on that one. It's also not so, well, there's not so much chassis buckling through there. So yeah, we're okay to carry on. The steering is big issues, but you can see how much we're turning left when oh god, if I let go of the steering. So it's a constant fight to try and keep the car in a straight line. That's not good when it comes to jumps. You've got to try and get up enough speed to, oh god, to counter whatever you're doing. That might be a surprisingly good landing. I mean, we've made it the furthest of the ETKs now. It is the furthest modern ETK, I should say, actually, because I think the I-Series is... Actually, I don't know where the I-Series go. It might be the furthest of the ETKs. No, because the I-Series died with the drive shaft failure on lap 1. It is the furthest ETK here, although this isn't good. Oh, this is not looking good for the... It's the steering that I've got the biggest concerns about. I mean, the chassis is starting to get buckled in other ways, and while beached on the slightly peculiar curbing is something that I will pull the car free of. If it's beached around the actual circuit, then it is possible, it will be out, but we haven't seen any car, even some of the really, really damaged chassis, we haven't actually seen a car go out from being beached around here yet. We did see one, I think, the electric SBR4 at the Baja Rama circuit, but that is the only car I can remember going out from being outright beached. Come on car. Oh, it's actually started to struggle a little bit in terms of power now. Still that wheel. I mean, the wheel is not connected by very much there at that front right. I think the hits we're taking at the moment aren't directly on that wheel. I think one big hit on that side of the car may well see it go out. Now, when that radiator went, I was not expecting to see this car go out from overheating. It is holding on pretty well, though. Not again, not again, not again. Oh. That's a second drive shaft failure. Now, I might be able to just roll the car a little bit further. Come on. Come on, S-Series. Just roll your way down the hill. It's, yeah, the steering is what did it in. It's just so difficult to try and drive a car when you're fighting the steering that much. It is going to come to a halt. I think this is around where the Covert and the Scirocco went out and parked. Interestingly, the steering is actually still working on the vehicle. Just about, and you can see how loosely connected the wheels are there. The steering is still just about functioning. The problem is it pulls the car around so much, especially when it was, well, ended up rear-wheel drive converted, and add on to that the sort of slight wheel spin and oversteer characteristics you're likely to end up getting, and dodgy steering. Yeah. We lost the control coming up towards the pit, and by the time I could get it back under control, we were flying enough to get some airtime. I think just repeated batterings on this is what caused the eventual drive shaft failure. Still, I am pleasantly surprised. As I said, the furthest of the ETKs, and it was drive shaft. I think it's the first time, with the exception of the fuel all falling out of the 100 series, it's the first time we've had an ETK go out through something other, or modern ones anyway, something other than wheel axle related failures. Up next, we have got the Miramar Z Coupe. It is in a brilliant colour scheme. I mean, it's a slightly dangerous colour scheme in that most of my orange and black cars ending at some point upside down. However, yeah, brilliant colour scheme. Got a relatively high spec one here. I think it's a GTZ. It's a 1.6 litre 1600cc engine. Should be decent amount of speed. Relatively light. Miramar has been a good choice of car. The Sunburst and the Miramar has really been the vehicles to have when it comes to surviving this circuit. Multiple variations done very, very well indeed. There's a lot of mods based around the Miramar at the moment, so we're probably going to see this car a fair bit in the sort of coming episodes, if you like. I would like to see this car do relatively well. I think it's a really good looking mod, the Z Coupe. Oh, we're going to get wiggly twisties down there. Come on, speed. Have we got enough to clear the jump? Oh, yes, we do. We're going to go into, let's say, the front right corner across there. Did you get a little bit of oversteer at an awkward moment, unfortunately, for our poor car? Put down the power. Come on, fly through the air. Just about enough. We're going to lose the back end and go for a spin. I think it's the first time we've bumped the barrier through there. Certainly in that manner. I think the FR17, when that engine exploded, we ended up somewhere over there. But the first time we've spun into a barrier, I think. Don't go sliding across there, because you'll put unnecessary stress on the wheels and suspension when you land. Okay, well, I mean, we've made it past the opening jumps without any major damage. I think the previous Miramars have all gone out with overheating rather than any other particular failure. The wheel axles and drive shafts and so on very, very strong in this car. How it's going to work in this coupe version, though, not quite sure. Oh, that might be a little bit fast. No, that being said, that's pretty much perfect across there. Ooh, it's quite oversteery, this one. More oversteery than the other ones that that I drove around here. That much is for sure. Very easy to lose the back end and get in a world of trouble there. Okay, up across the tabletop we go, and now we have the pit to deal with. Make sure we're going fast enough. Oh no, we're not accelerating quite in the way that I had hoped. That being said, a lot of that crash, a lot of that damage was done on the roof. You can see we've kind of got a chopped top version. again, I'm okay with that. The roof can take a couple of impacts before we risk bending anything important, and then we rolled a fair bit. I mean, I said, orange and black car, it's going to roll, and sure enough, it did roll. But when it's rolling, that's dissipating energy. It's scary in an open-wheeled car. Things like the rock crawlers and, well, the Outlaw Custom that went around, it's terrifying when they roll because the wheels just get snapped so easily. But in a car like this, unlikely, certainly you're not going to snap the wheels off in the same manner. I mean, they can take damage when it's rolling, but it's, yeah, a lot less likely, and the roll is dissipating all that energy rather than, you know, breaking important bits in the car, per se. So, we have survived. Oh, had a little bit of game lag. My computer, I don't know what's causing it. It's still got a bunch of games. It's not Beam's fault. Basically, there's a Windows 10 update that's broken a whole heap of things. And yeah, I'm having real problems with my Wi-Fi not wanting to connect, and a whole bunch of my games are just randomly stuttering and pausing. This, Doom, Assetto Corsa, and I can't remember what the other one was now. But yeah, it's a real pain in the arse, so I apologise for that. I'm trying to get it fixed, but I can't figure out what it is. Oh, we're going to go for another roll. There goes the radiator. This car is liking to tumble. I'm finding all the awkward ways that take off from the jumps. The radiator's gone. However, surviving that lap 2 and surviving that jump is pretty good going for anything. The number of cars that have been killed there is pretty high. Oh, although we're not really going very quick for that next one. That's going to have done some more heavy damage to the front end of this car. Now, the bigger concern we have here is chassis damage. We've got a tripod. I've made a three-wheeled car unintentionally. Now, we've got to be very, very careful, because if it tripods at the wrong point, we're going to lose all speed, because the diff is just going to stop driving the rear wheels. Oh, that's really weird. That is really peculiar. Unfortunately, I would much rather it was biased towards having the rear wheels down. The way that this is all buckled, it's tending to want to keep the front wheels down. I'd much rather it kept the rear wheels down, because I need to try and get some speed up. I need to be able to put some power down, because we need to try and get some speed for the next corner. I'm taking as wide a line as I can here, in the hope that we can get the vehicle down here. Come on, Miramar, you can do it. Oh dear. Ow. That's not so good, is it? We are a little bit caught on the scenery. Now, much like I said with the curbings at turn 1, if it's caught on a slightly awkward bit of scenery, you're not normally supposed to end up over, then I will be allowed to drag the car and reset it. The good news is that crash has actually fixed my tripoding. It's now keeping the rear wheels on the ground. This is incredible survival going on. This is, I think, by far been the most beaten up of the Miramars. It's not quite fixed it completely. It's better than it was. The problem is we need to steer. We need to be steering to the right to get the wheels down, but the car pulls very badly to the right. So we're constantly having to steer to the left to counter that, and it keeps the front wheels up in the air and stops us from putting any power down. Now, while it is inconvenient and we are likely to crash into every jump imaginable at the moment with our inability to put any power down, interestingly, we're not hitting the crawler rule. We're more than capable of accelerating up to speed. It might not be enough to clear the jumps, but yeah, we're not limping around at 3 miles an hour. I think maybe that crash has fixed it properly, or re-benched the chassis into a usable sort of a state. It does look like it has. Oh, crap, mind the pothole. Unbelievably, this car is hit massively on every single one of the big jumps this lap around, and still it doesn't die. We're on to lap number 3. Miramar, there we go, I can English, is a stupidly strong vehicle. It's a ridiculous... Oh, dear. We got a little bit carried away across the bumps there. Even that doesn't phase it. Doesn't matter. But probably would have taken out the radiator if it had still had a radiator. It doesn't, so it's irrelevant. We are on to our 3rd lap. Not many cars have really got onto their 3rd lap here. So if we can keep going a little bit further, this could end up... We could have 3 Miramars in the top 10. These are really, really tough little vehicles. Make it across that jump. In fact, we are perfectly across that jump. We've finally made a jump without wrecking the car. Oh, I say without wrecking it, without damaging the car even more. That is good news. Now, for the next jump. Come on. Speed, 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 speed. Not enough. We're going to ping off the top and come... Ooh. Oh, okay, so we've got a bit of bodywork caught underneath it. Again, I actually haven't had to have this rule in much effect this series. If bodywork gets caught under the car, I am allowed to try and pull it free, because we're not counting the car out if it gets bodywork wedged. Is that now drivable? Not really. The door is very, very wedged. Now, the car is going to be overheating in all of this. Not much I can do about that. There we go. It's an unfortunate timing. That is the way that it goes. It's just part and parcel of being destroyed around this sort of a track. We've got the issue fixed though, so we can carry on. Coolant is starting to overheat here. This is a incredible demonstration of survival from the Miramar. It really does take a lot to kill one of these. It's the engine that lets... I say the engine that lets them down, the radiator that lets them down. If that was as strong as the car, I don't know what it would take to kill one of these. I guess eventually either the chassis would be so buckled as to be useless, or we'd lose a wheel, or something like that. We are now struggling to use any power. I had to... Didn't quite want to go for the roll on that one. I had to try and aim for the biggest bit of the jump as I could. The roll is kind of irrelevant, though, because we've made it across. Nothing has actually been hurt in all of that, and we can keep on going. I wouldn't normally want to aim for that. I was hoping we could go up the middle of the sort of protruding bit to get a bigger jump, because I know we weren't taking the speed required. However, we didn't quite aim it right. I don't even know if that worked particularly. It was just doing what I could with a broken car to try and survive. We're going up towards the pit once more. Again, we're twisting. Oh, so many hits are being taken by this. I don't know how. I mean, the Sunburst convertible that leads the way did a incredible job. That survived some very, very big crashes to keep going. This has got to be the most impressive we've seen yet. This has got to be the most impressive we have seen in terms of surviving punishment. We are heading towards... Oh, can we keep the engine alive? That's the big question. We've had piston rings gone. We haven't had head gasket or conrod bearings go yet. I mean, if we can make it onto this straight with any sort of speed, even if the engine conks out now, we could probably coast our way onto lap number 4. Will we get this? Oh, no, 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 no. Get off the poles. I'm struggling with a little bit with steering now. You can see how much the rear wheel is wobbling. We are on to lap 4. We've gone further than the Miramar rally car. If we can make it onto the bridge, we'll have made it further than the City Miramar that was the first one to go here. It looks like head gasket's gone. Come on. We can do it. We can make it. Use what little bit of that power is left. We have gone furthest of the Miramars. Can we make it across this jump? I'm not holding out much hope here because we've got no power. We've got very little in the way of power. It's only 30 miles an hour. Oh, oh no. Drive shaft is gone, and I think that actually killed the engine as well. It made it to the bloody jump. I will give it that. It made it to the jump, and that... The punishment that this car survived is outstanding. It really is incredible, the level of punishment that that this vehicle survived. The chassis was twisted almost beyond use. It crashed. It twisted the chassis back again. The drive shaft did eventually give way. I think the drive shaft gave way at the exact same time as the engine gave up. So, yeah, it was basically, I think, as we went up that hill, that's what killed the engine. So... It was either going to die with the engine going out, but in the end, the big impact would take the drive shaft. But to have survived as long as it did, that is quite simply incredible from the Miramar Coupe. Our final vehicle today is the Maluk. Yes, we have got a crazy version of this. Oh, I was hoping the wheelie was going to work first time. It did. There we go. 450 horsepower in this rear-engined car is a lot of power, and we are able to get some very, very big wheelies. I'll just reset the car in case any stress damage and so on from all of that. Yeah, It's a lot of power. We should be more than capable of getting across the jumps, even with various bits of damage. The problem, well, similar problem to the first mallet that went around the cabaret. The size, I mean, the potholes are as big as this car in some places, and that's an issue. It can get thrown about very, very easily. It is, ooh, something went crunch. I think it's just the front bumper. It can get thrown about very easily. It does tend to bounce around a little bit as well on some of the jumps, and that is a concern for the vehicle tumbling over, concern for the wheels being snapped off. Are we going to go and... ooh, okay, that's a new one. That is a... The front bumper came off. I mean, it has, in some ways, saved the car from having to take that jump properly the first time, although that could have caused us a lot more trouble than it did. The front bumper coming undone, falling straight underneath the car, very nearly tipped us into the river. That would be an unfortunate way to have ended with a vehicle like this, but we're fine. We got away with it. Managed to get it stopped and under control in time before that ended in disaster. We actually got across the next jump nice and easily as well. We're gonna... careful with the landing of these. This seems quite top heavy. It's sort of bobbling around a lot as we go across these jumps, which makes me think it wouldn't be too difficult to roll it over or get sudden wheelies. The failure that we saw last time out with this, sort of the rear axle collapsing, I believe has been sort of patched out, but I think there's a little bit of a bug that went on with that, so I don't think we're going to see that happen here, although the wheels are still a concern on a small, light vehicle such as this one. Oh, tumbly. That's a big tumble from the car. Hey, we're fine. We've shed some more bodywork. Oh, I say we're fine. I've looked at the front left and I have decided we are not fine, although it does still work. Okay, we didn't lose the wheel. We buckled the wheel, but we didn't lose the wheel. It's not ideal, but the steering is not too terrible. The steering is better than I have seen on some other cars, so I will take that. Although, having said that, we are going all over the place. This isn't good. This isn't good. That's the engine gone. That's one of the rear wheels gone. I said the steering wasn't as bad as I thought it was, and then I tried to put some power down to get up the hill. And we just couldn't get control of the car. Oh, didn't quite mean to fling it that far. We have a small issue in that the engine fell out. I was going to get around to talking about that bit. I didn't think we were quite going to see it appear at the moment in time that we did. Yeah, the engine is over there. One of the rear wheels is over there. And that's not going to help with the moving bits. It's made it further. It has made it further. I actually think this is too fast. I think this, the 450 horsepower version is a bit too difficult to try and get your speeds right across these jumps. It's very, very easy to be going too quickly. And that's kind of what did us in over the pit. I was trying to get the car back under control. If I let off the throttle, you end up not going fast enough and have a very big crash. I tried to put my foot down to counter the sort of stuff I was doing with the steering, but you have half a second to try and measure all of this, and it was a bit too much speed. We've seen cars survive landings like that. I mean, we saw the Miramar that went previous to this as survived landings, bigger landings, heavy landings such as that. In the end, though, the engine falling out of the car is a new one. It is a new failure. I will say that much about it. But, yeah, that is a very much dead Malik. On to our leaderboard, and the Miramar Z Coupe will find itself in 5th place. Is very much a Miramar section there around the start of lap 4. All three of them that have gone out in a fairly similar place. Interesting results actually from those three very, very different sort of cars. It's a good showing to have made it that far. We have to go a little bit further down to find the ETK S Series, 20th place for that. Not quite able to roll as far as the likes of the Comet and the Scirocco. For it to be the drive shafts, though, in the ETK that the things that ultimately kill it is, again, a bit of a surprise. We would expect wheel axle failures or something along those lines. Admittedly, it was the loss of steering that kind of led to the drive shaft failures, but either way, 20th place, not too shabby at all for that vehicle. And we go a lot further down to find the crazy Malik, 43rd place with that, and it's lost engine. The first failure of its kind. I don't think many cars can actually physically have engines fall out in the game. Quite a interesting one to see. The steering damage, the sheer speed of the car, and trying to fight all of that inevitably going to lead to some hefty crashes, and it couldn't survive them. Made it further though than the previous Malloc, which is something. It's not last place, so could be worse. That, though, is going to be it for this video. As ever, I shall link all of the mods in the description so you can download them, have a go with them yourself. But thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.